and this time the return of the life gain deck that is going to try to win through the sims of the Defiant Bloodlord and the likes. And this time around, the deck has gotten a lot of more of early game play and early life gain using Calastria Healer that triggers whenever we play an ally, and also Sylvan Advocate. That doesn't actually lets us gain life, but is going to help us prevent losing life at the beginning of the game. So it's what we need. So let's go ahead with our deck that has gotten rid of a ton of removal. So we are not carrying removal for the opponent's permanent. So we are kind of at the mercy of what they try to throw at us, but let's hope that we can be aggressive enough to kill the opponent before otherwise. So the other way around. So we are facing opponents with lower rank. We got ourselves this hand has early place, but the lands are not proper for what we need. So let's go with a new hand on this. It kind of goes along. We can drop the Calastria Healer early on, and that is very good. Then we have also Vampiric Rites, but it's not going to be very useful at the beginning. The opponent running a deck with excessive amount of cards and black and red, so maybe he's trying to get some maybe Act of Treason plays, or maybe Planeswalkers. We're going to find out pretty soon. So next turn. So this Lone Rider might transform if we gain up to 3 or more life on a single turn. Double killer, it's quite nice. So let's try to hit the opponent to see how he responds. Possibly he's going to take the damage. So we are missing one extra black to play 2 cards this turn, but I think that our hand is improving. Sometime we might get to Defiant Bloodlord. Let's hope it's not already too late. This card is very expensive, but it is a 4/5 flying creature. So maybe the opponent playing vampires, but here a werewolf has appeared. Okay, a vampiric rites. I think that if I want this to transform, I have to leave this Calastria Healer back. So for the time being, I'm just playing Vampiric Rites, so this doesn't flip. Let's see how the opponent responds. I expect the opponent to attack with this 3/3. Maybe he has something else to hit us with. Too bad we do not have another black to activate Vampiric Rites to answer some of the threats. But we should get rid of this before using too much of Vampiric Rites. Shadows of the Past before the combat. No. Now we are going to get hit. Skip blocking. So we lost 3, but if all goes good, we might flip our Lone Raider. Let's try to find out if the opponent has something, and we might. Let's leave this one on defense, just to see what happens. So a Twin Bolt or Fiery Impulse could kill the Lone Rider or any direct damage. Let's see, the opponent takes the damage. We are back at 20. And now Calastro Healer. That triggers 2 activations of this. So it's about time this one flips. Now this one has Trample, First Strike and Lifelink. So the opponent is going to have it's going to need a very powerful removal for this one. So if we get another land, we might try to start producing our cleric tokens. Opponent is trying to get our life lower. So Shambling Bent is going to come in handy when we can activate her or it or whatever it is. But now let's try to hit the opponent. Let's see, Chandra kind of does not like the werewolf, because she needs lots of spells to be useful. So I'm playing the second Vampiric Rites just for the sake of not letting this one transform into this Neckbreaker. Let's see, Grasp of Darkness goes to this one. Let's hope the opponent is not using Act of Treasons. So Chandra might flip and start killing our Calastria healers. That would be bad for us. But other than that, we have our lands to hit the opponent. So let's hope we get something that can help us next turn. Perhaps a nice Planeswalker. Let's see, the opponent is deciding what to do. Chandra can tap to deal 1 damage to us, and she untaps if the player uses a red spell. So here we could try to kill Chandra with double blocking, but it's kind of risky if the opponent runs some removal, and if the opponent doesn't, it's going to be good for us. And also losing 2 creatures is going to pump up the Malakir Couplet too much. So the good news is that we have all the colors in our mana that we need. We are at 6, 1 short for Defiant Bloodlord, so any card that we draw we are going to be able to play. Now this one is pretty heavy, so the opponent didn't want to flip Chandra here. So let's see, what should we do? On one hand, it is possible for us to attack with the Shambling Bends, but maybe it is better to save activations for the vampiric rites. So let's go with Pious Evangel here. This is kind of problematic for our deck because we want to sacrifice a lot of things, and by doing so we are going to be making this one quite large. Now the opponent can attack with the Hunger Garrison, producing lots of tokens that will also trigger Shadows of the Past scrying. But okay, Rip Soul goes toward. So now the problem here is that the game did not let me use the pause, so I'm going to give up here because I wanted to sacrifice the Pious Evangel in response. So kind of even I did press the key bar, the space key, the space. That is kind of very nasty from the game to do. So I'm going to concede because the opponent has a very huge board and we kind of depended on the activation of the vampiric rites. So let's go ahead with another game and see if the connection is not failing us this time. The player has quit the game. Let's try again. So that's a kind of story situation in the digital version of Magic. When you play with paper and friends, the mistakes are usually forgiven. Of course, there is not a clock that is pressing you to do any of your actions, so you have plenty of time to read your friends' cards and decide what to do, and perhaps maybe you regret a decision that you have told your friend that you are going to play, and if he's a good friend, he's going to let you take back your decision. Even between not friendly players, that might be a thing. Of course, uh, when you win the game, it is more you have a better feeling if you win because of you playing good rather than the opponent playing bad, because the feeling of accomplishment is much higher in that case. If you're depending on your opponent misplaying, kind of takes away the fun of the game. There is no much challenge there. So let's see if we find another opponent. Come on, Wheel of the Loading. This is not a good sign. Come on. So what's happening? No. There is no cancel button at this stage. So we are stuck here. We don't know what's going on. We cannot return to the previous screen. We cannot do anything. There is no exit or close button. We kind of have to wait here. I think this is an overlook from the developers of the game. We might want to cancel all of this, but we pretty much have to force the close of the windows or doing Alt F4 or maybe the task manager. So apparently something happened. There was a pause there. The deck box is highlighted back there, but still joining session. And loading, finally. Let's see. I would dare to say that our opponent is going to be playing vampires. Perhaps a very aggressive vampire deck. Let's try to see. Once again, the opponent runs a very oversized deck. Here, too expensive plays and only a 2-drop. Let's draw another one. This time a little bit better. 2 and 3 drops. Let's see. We kind of want to have the Hissing Quagmire first. Therefore, we can drop the Calaster Healer next turn using the Plains or the Westvale Abbey. So, I don't think it matters too much, but let's go with the Swamp and the Calaster Healer. So the opponent still doesn't know that we run white, but probably he suspects as much because this one kind of depends on having allies, and the best allies appear in white. Also red has a nice allies. So green and red from the other side. And since the opponent is running such a huge deck, I kind of imagine that he has lots of ramp spells. Here we drop the Draenei's Emissary, and if we lose one of these, it's not too bad because we have the Duels of Mirasa. So we are already at 22 and the opponent at 17. And we have 2 creatures, plus we can activate Hissing Quagmire, maybe. Nissa appears. So most certainly this looks like a Planeswalker deck. Crumbling Vestige. Not yet. We are going to save the Crumbling Vestige for later on. And just attack with the Draenei's Emissary. So the opponent might have the board clear if he is trying to go for the Planeswalker, and we can bring back one of our creatures using Mirasa. Let's see what the opponent does. Another indication of a Planeswalker deck. This is letting the opponent play Planeswalkers with any colors he wants. But our aggression is going to be painful for the opponent. So let's try to press the matters here. If the opponent wants to trade Nissa, I'm okay with that. So we try to hit for 4 more points of damage. So the opponent might be using Nahiri to exile our creatures. That will be quite nasty. Let's hope he doesn't have Nahiri yet. Instead, it was this Ulrich of the Crawling Horde, giving +4/+4 to the creature, and if this transforms, target creature can fight another creature. So perhaps we should block this one. Not clear, but maybe worth to block here just in case. Still draining our opponent. we could go with Westvale Abbey. We can get the Sanitarium Skeleton here, or Disaster Renewal. I think the Skeleton is fine. Let's hit the opponent for 2 more. So the skeleton is going to be able to block, and we can transform his Quagmire into a 2/2 Death Toucher. So this one has reach, so it's going to block the Draina's Emissary. So let's hope the opponent doesn't transform this one. Here Nisa has become Sage Animist, so the opponent probably going to draw something, and it was a land. Come on, both, no, come on, stop the game. I'm going to missing Quagmire. Fine. Now we hit the opponent, he loses this one, we lose the Hissing Quagmire, but I don't mind that too much. The clock is ticking. Here Pious Evangel is quite fine for us, so let's get some green. Let's Pulse of Mirasa. We're going to recover our Cluster Healer and play the Pious Evangel. That is going to enter with Summon and Sickness, but after that we can use this one to sacrifice this skeleton. Now the opponent pretty much needs to remove this Draina's Emissary fast, because he's losing life at a steady rate, but it's quite likely that our opponent has a Nissa's Renewal of his own, and also running Pulse of Mirasa. He got his Krallen Horde Ulrich back, and I think he's going to play it right away. Or perhaps he wants to save the effect for later, because we can block the Hydra pretty easily with the skeleton. So the Pious Evangel also lets us activate the 1/1 token generation for pretty much free. But here I'm going to prevent this damage. If we got our Ailey, it's going to be quite nice for us. So double Cluster Healer, I think it's quite nice. Drain 1. And drain 2. So now if we try to attack the opponent, he might have something. Let's go after his life total to see what's up. We're going to sacrifice our 2/2. So now we have the Wayward Disciple. We are a bit tighter on mana than the opponent, and we cannot pass through this Hydra. Now, first strike, the Radiant Wolf has appeared, and we're going to receive quite a hit now. The heirloom over this one, I guess. Well, he can pass it. The opponent should equip the heirloom over one of this one, attack us, and then equip this other one. So here we just prevent 10 damage, we take 8, still at 31. The opponent loses 1 life. So a swamp. Let's see. I'm going to. Okay, let's bring back the sanitarium skeleton here. What? Ah! No! The tapping. Okay, fatal mistake there. So the computer assumed that I wanted to spend all the black mana to fetch this from the graveyard, and now I cannot play it, and now this is a loss just because of that. So let's see. Now we are getting hit for a bunch. So we are missing one blocker. That's so. I wonder why the computer thought that we wanted to tap all the black. We even have a colorless land there. Another one here. There's no excuse for the computer doing this. So, vampiric rites, one sanitarium skeleton. Alright, kind of boring here. There we go. Yeah. We might have survived there, perhaps because the Pious Evangel taking 1 point of life from the opponent. Yeah, crushing mistake there. So we have learned that this deck is kind of hated by the game because the first time we couldn't activate the vampiric rites, and the second time we got a very poor chap from the opponent. All the Cliffhaven vampires in the starting hand. It would be lovely to have all those in play, but we need more lands. This is a slow start, but perhaps we succeed into getting double Pious Evangel out there, and Pulse of Mirasa is going to let us recover in case of the opponent being way too aggressive. Let's start with the Shambling Bend, so we have access to all the colors on the second turn. The perfect draw for us would be the Ceylon Advocate now. Selfless Spirit, 2/1 flyer, can be sacrificed to make all creatures indestructible. and that is all the creatures that you own. So the opponent chooses not to sacrifice the selfless spirit. That is quite smart. Now, Canopy Vista. I think that we can play the Canopy Vista here. So in this color that our opponent is playing, we are risking, it's quite likely that he runs Declaration in stone. Having two of these at the same time, it's kind of very dangerous if that's the case. So we have to be careful on what we choose to do. So Jadi offshoot, I think that is, can hold this. So let's go with a Pious Angel here. The life gaining is starting. Let's see if the opponent has run out of steam, but it's quite likely that he's running a lot of human creatures, and that enchantment, the always watching, could be very harmful for us. Expose evil, gets a clue. So our Jadi offshoot could be used to block the militia captain for the time being. So let's go with this one. And we're going to get a black to play the Sanitarium Skeleton. So let's try to ambush the opponent with a Pious Evangel flipping into Required Visible. We can easily sacrifice the skeleton. Clue, the opponent chose. I think that this time the game failed to our opponent. He should have sacrificed the clue before. Now he is 2 mana short this turn. But of course the opponent probably is not wanting to attack because we have the Jadi offshoot here. Always watching. That is the enchantment that I was worrying about. Not too bad, but I think that I'm going to activate this one. So we have a bigger creature here, and this lets us dodge the declaration in stone. So let's go ahead with Pious Evangel here. And the forest is fine. Back at 17, skip the attack. So the declaration in stone can remove only one of these two now that they don't share the name. But of course the opponent might be running other forms of removal. And this one is getting closer to being transformed. Collective effort. So only, I guess, only places the counters on his creatures. So I think that we take this and let's hope to get something good now because we need something to help us. So Silver Advocate is a little bit of a relief. We can fetch the Sanitarium Skeleton and get another blocker. So, lucky for us, the Sylvan Advocate didn't receive the collective effort hit, and now we skip the attack, and let's see if this board can make the opponent think twice before attacking. This duo, okay, player outburst, quite strange, so he sacrifices this. I wonder if this triggers. I guess so. So the opponent loses 5, we gain 5. But now we are facing problems. We get hit for 8. So we can fetch the skeleton, we can use Rasa to get another thing. The Ailey kind of good. I like having Ailey. So let's go with her. And if we get the skeleton, we cannot recover using only that, so let's go with. Okay, we want to play the advocate. Okay, use of Mirasa, Silvan Advocate, and Crumbling Vestige. So there we go. So Death Touch plus the 4/5, so we can kill both creatures if the opponent attacks with them. Double Anointer of Champions. It's a problem. Declaration in stone. There it goes. So Ailey is gone. And now we are going to have to take this, otherwise we lose our single creature, and there's not much point in killing this. So he's in Quagmire, so I think that we have to activate this one to find something useful. Do not spend the colored lands, please. Okay. And it is Draena's Emissary. We can play this one, but it's not going to save us. So he's in Quagmire. There's not much that we can do here. Skip the attack. Let's see if the opponent has something. Mainly we are losing because of this. Hyper powerful. Sunstone Bridge over Anointer of Champions. So let's see if we can survive another turn. Not too likely, but look at this one. We couldn't. That's a kind of stupid thing to do. I think we were missing a black anyways. So that's it. Quite some defeats for this deck, but I kind of blame the game for the first two. Of course, they were pretty even, but we got hit by the game doing bad choices for us. But let's leave this as it is for now. So another chain of defeats for the deck, but never mind. It's going to return more powerful than ever sometime soon. So until next time, I hope you have enjoyed yourself, and don't forget to leave your comments in the description. So long, sayonara.